Monster trading. Now the fight is on. Delta is going to be getting stunned up. The Q is just going to be a slow, and Jeff is here first. The dash in's going to come in. That's the ultimate available. This is going to be a bunch of damage. Zenzen forced the flash. Blue Smite has come in. The last bit of damage onto Zenzen is not provided yet. Barrier is still available. As the flash stun is going to come in, that's going to be the pickup.
Reset
onto Delta for grabbing it. The reset is here, and play his Scully Boil, preventing anything further. As this bot lane is going to find himself a fight, and ultimates are coming through, and the ultimate channels as Broccoli puts him down, and this flash out is still going to be coming. Misfortune has the flash available soon. Flash auto is still. This is going to be the fight. Blast cone over, and now this is going to be the event. That's going to be the smite.
Oh my god!
Utility monster, but so much damage. Delta's going to die first. The shuffle is going to come in, but everyone's too late. Bodies are already dropping, and this is way too much for INT as they're going to give over 5 kills.
And I feel like they just leave after here. Oh,
here's the ultimate 4-man on it. That's going to be everybody.
Oh
that's
my
gonna
god!
Be the big combo. So many bodies are dead already. Resets coming in, and that's going to be everybody picked up. And once again, Jeff found it, and Jeff found it all. That's going to be a bunch of damage onto this rel. And the angle for what they as Tidal Wave's going to come in, that's going to be the stun landing. So much damage forced onto Broccoli already. That's going to be the shots on the back line, and the Kazis is going to be resetting. The bug is smashing, and the bug is founded as 2 kills already for Side of Helios Monster picking up both carries.
Yeah,
and GG, that's all.
All right, and welcome back everyone to FFS4, where we find ourselves back in the Helios League semifinals, game 3 between Seed 2. Rex Regalis currently leading the best of 5 series in a 2-0 versus INT. And here to walk you through these championship rounds, I am Schnecky IRL, and casting alongside me, we have the director of the Universal Basic Income Foundation. We got our boy Civlock.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here, Schnecky, and got the joy of making sure every game we cast from this point on is going to be match point. So hopefully there's a lot. I'm looking forward to earning my channel points back. I can't let Rex get away with this, so.
Yeah, definitely so, man. And speaking of Rex here, we do see these bands kind of starting off here. And, although we heard, a couple of times, Joshi really talk about how a lot of the faith in the enemy team was in Bo in the jungle role and secondary after it's now a fill. In Delta, we yet again have all 3 of those bands in the first ban phase getting directly targeted towards Brock Lee, meaning for the 3rd time in a row, blue side pick 1 goes to Misfortune.
Yeah, I actually have the benefit of having played against every player in this game except for Jeff. And Brock Lee, he may be subbing. Wait, it's Brock Lee subbing. No, it's X Delta who's subbing in, right?
Ooh, yeah, we do have a bit
for clarification
of a roster.
All right, got it.
So Delta and Fish.
So Delta's in for Overbow Explode, and Fish McGish subbing in for the bot lane. Broccoli is pretty terrifying top laner, so I respect all the bans getting thrown his way, especially with Gnar off the table. You want to make sure that Joshi doesn't get trapped into ugly matchup, and he is going to blind pick the Shen for himself now that all these bad Shen matchups are off the table.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have that Shen always being a really priority pick here for Joshi. He's one of the dudes that can really operate that champion without having to take that teleport there. He's able to take the Ignite and look to make a really big impact earlier on. And just want to point out here, although we've had Fish and Brock Lee in this same lineup throughout today, we typically have had Fish in that top lane role where Brock Lee was in that AD carry role here. So I'm not sure if they're just out of LCS order or if this is actually a lane swap.
In the trees can definitely commit to a lot of different roster permutations. X Delta is a pretty flexible player, and Fish McGish specifically plays pretty much everything pretty well as far as I can tell, and honestly a pretty terrifying player having played against him. We see these comps going in very different directions, which is interesting. Like, even from the bans, we saw in the tree saying, no enchanters, no Gnar, please. And then Rex Regalis says, don't play any of these bruisers, thank you, please. And now that we have the champions locked in, Jinx, Janna, Shen as this really defensive core against this very forward, very aggressive Garen Blitzcrank, who are going to try and push through and dive past the Janna peel.
Yeah, definitely so. And it does give us an opportunity to see where Jinx really is now, considering she just got a buff a few days ago. But then again, MF also got a nerf, and she's still in as advantageous of a spot here in the current state of the meta here. But it will be interesting to see Mr. Chunks with Alk Battery alongside them there, which they've been doing a phenomenal job, by the way. You know, when we asked Joshi kind of what the game plan was, they talked how they had to really kind of accommodate to having some of those fills in the lanes and swapping some of the roles here. And although Alk Battery is a part of that core roster, he's typically on the AD carry role, but on support, he's still doing a really good job at empowering Mr. Chunks.
Yeah, I think Rex really just showing so much trust in both those players to say, yeah, our main roster AD carry will step down and let Mr. Chunks in, and our main roster AD carry will play support. And I think it just takes so much trust to say, yeah, we can do this. We're confident Alk Battery playing support. We're not going to make Mr. Chunks do it. And it can be kind of scary to offset your roster so much because you rely on certain players filling that certain niche in your team, in your comms, and also your draft. But Rex trusts them, and so far they've really earned that trust. They've been stable, they've been strong, they've shown up to team fights, and especially Alk Battery has impressed me with his Enchanter play.
Oh, absolutely, man. And especially when you have an AD carry like Mr. Chunks, who we even seen last game when he didn't have the most favorable start. He was able to come back on that Nami Lucian and still really put that pedal to the metal there. We know they were very solid bottom lane there. So we're going to rely, looking at that bottom lane, on Jeff to really land some of those hooks here. And an interesting Shaco pick will be coming out here, likely going towards Delta.
Yeah, Shaco, that's a little bit of an oddball pick. And I know Rex has talked about not wanting to play against this in the past. And, you know, match point, you're down 0-2. This is the time to bust out all the weird stuff you've been saving in your back pocket. Right. This is Torment life. All the stuff's got to come out now, and that's the Azir being hovered. That's a very different direction than the rest of the draft so far, which is a bit of a surprise to me, but I think it makes sense for Evolve Noob's champion pool.
Yeah, definitely so. And where we did see the Azir in Game 2 getting picked up from Evolve Noob there, you know this is a player who knows how to operate on one of those champions, and he is taking it as the counter pick, seeing that he did see the Morgana. Hold on. Akshan being hovered. Remember, although Akshan did recently get a nerf, you still see him every here and there in the mid lane. We're going to see if that is what Zen ends up choosing here. Okay, this could be a Morgana jungle.
Yeah, I believe it is. I mean, it definitely is. Utility Monster, quite well known for his Morgana jungle last season. I think he's been saving it for a while because I don't think UB has actually played it this season on our side of the league. But it's always been a pocket pick for Utility Monster. Morgana was nerfed after her substantial jungle buffs, but her final state was still stronger than the initial patch that Utility Monster started playing Morgana jungle in. So it's definitely still a strong pick. You just clear fast, You provide a lot of utility, you do damage. And honestly, part of the power, especially in this level of play set, a lot of junglers just don't know how to play against Morgana because it's a really weird champion.
Right. Well, it seems like having Shaco there from Delta might be a definite bit of a weird angle there. We're going to see how it all pans out as we are getting ready to get into Game 3 again. This is the championship match here. This could be it. This could be the last game of the night, unless INT has anything to say about it. To take a look at predictions here, Civlock, I gotta be honest here. The caster side of me wants this to go to Game 4, so I would like to see a little bit more coming out here from INT to allow it to get to that point. But who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, it really could go either way. You know, personally, I really want to see my friends lose. That would bring me immeasurable joy. And also, I kind of want to cast more than one game. So I'm really cheering for INT here. I think they got it. They're going to turn this one around. I'm confident.
Yeah, well, definitely so, man. They do have a bit of a different roster, not roster, but different lane allocation as last time. So I really want to be looking towards that bottom lane now, because one of the reasons we've seen Rex be so successful is this bottom lane between Mr. Chunks and Alk Battery. And I know why you don't, Doctor. Okay, I might be a little bit behind then. We do have Joshi walking in. Nothing quite there yet.
It was really interesting that Rex chose to invade into the Blitzcrank. Maybe they were hoping that Jeff would be looking to invade and they could catch him on the loop around and surprise him. But actually, both teams end up playing fairly defensively. Nothing happens except for the deep vision that does go to Rex. So Rex will have a very good idea of Shaco's route. That's going to put a damper on Delta's early gank attempts, especially if he shows on that red buff.
Yeah, definitely so. And I'm looking. Every time you have a Blitzcrank, typically you want to try to go for the early game cheeky plays there, but unfortunately doesn't quite work out, meaning it is Alk and Chunk who are able to get to that bottom lane first. We're going to see them look to fight for Prio. You do not want to lose level 2 first to a Blitzcrank lane.
You definitely don't want to happen. And also, Janna can just auto the wave freely, guarantee that push advantage, and Blitzcrank can't really contest without taking 400 damage from just 2 ranged auto attacks every time he hits minions. So it's going to be a fairly normal and textbook approach to the matchup from both sides so far.
Yeah, and as we start to see kind of some of these lanes really play out, I do want to see how Joshi does end up utilizing that teleport as well, because as we've seen throughout some of the playoff games as well as today's games, typically Joshi's the type of dude to take that Ignite top and really look to play aggressive in lane, even on a champion like Shen, who is known for that utility here. So now he has a little bit better equipment in his kit to make way for some of those plays across the map. So we'll see how it does impact those lane states in mid and bottom.
Yeah, I think it's a smart situational read in this game state. If you are the Shen of the Steam comp, you have 2 AD carries and 2 supports. You are not the main character of this anime, so you're the best friend, you're the comic relief. So it makes sense for him to have 2 globals. He can show up to every single bottom lane gank and counter gank it. And I think as long as he guarantees that one of his AD carries is strong, the game should be theirs.
Right, and that says a lot considering the fact that Mr. Chunks was a fail. He wasn't on the original roster at the start of this Helios League here. So they're putting a lot of faith really into the basket in which Mr. Chunks is holding. But let's be honest, we have not really seen any holes yet throughout this series. We're going to have some standard lane phases now. But once we start getting those later game fights, we're going to need to see how the Jinx does end up positioning here with help from the Shen. Delta going towards bottom. Just leave it a ward in the tri-bush.
Yeah, he's going to walk away. Interesting that both junglers end up opting to full clear. That does surprise me that Shaco ended up full clearing, but I don't think Shaco actually had a lot of opportunities, so I think it's a logical adaptation.
Yeah, definitely so. We do have both junglers still not taking their first backs yet. We're going to see him look towards mid. Wave is in a decent spot. No team really vulnerable. Looking at those mid lane players. Going to have it kind of be a standard lane phase for now right now.
Yeah, Zir's getting a little bit pushed around, but does still have that teleport, so should be pretty comfortable at this point. Morgana looking to secure double crab on Shaco. That is not what we expect to see, but Zen's in some danger.
Yeah, he is looking to just take that rope and walk on right out. I mean, Delta showing face there with the buffs, at least putting him under a little pressure. Unfortunately, Flash and Ignite still up for Zenzen.
Yeah, Zenzen doesn't have to commit anything and fulfills his duty as the mid laner, guaranteeing priority. Oh, hold the thought, Alk battery!
Ooh, that is going to be a really nice grab. The knockup was there. Alk is able to escape for now, but look at the damage that Chunks actually gets out there on those long-range switcheroo auto attacks. Broccoli and Jeff under their own turret. They land the damn hook, and they still lose the trade.
Yeah, I can't believe they don't even force summoner spells out of Jen. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened, but it looked like because Alk Battery had not done any damage, there were still minions under the tower. Alk Battery did not actually take tower aggro. I was happy to walk away from that one. Fish McGish,
so.
on the other hand, needs to be careful here.
Well, you know, the power lies in the bind. We're going to see if Utility is able to land it. Fish is just way too close to his tower there. Utility showing a little bit of face here. Not going to really phase Fish here. Joshi now building up a bit of a slow push here. Looking to set up for that recall.
It's kind of the classic utility monster gank. He's already full cleared his jungle, and so right now things to do. It's like, I guess I can help you a little bit. You know, just put some pressure in. He doesn't lose anything for it, and he'll be happy to reset, head back to his roles, and keep on farming. Already has that 10 CS lead. A lot of it off that double crab early. Oh, Joshi, though. Ooh.
He does land a really good shadow dash there, but you know what? When you have both of those bucklers there in your inventory as those big top lane meat shields, you're not going to do that much damage, especially when your level 6 for Joshi doesn't really do any damage to the Garen there. But I like the aggression.
Yeah, that's oh, Zenza a little too far forward, gets the Zirsek back into the tower, but oh, that's a great E to get out. And Shaco, unfortunately, not there to capitalize. Great play from both mid laners, honestly. Creative use of the shuffle to try and get that solo kill, but with the minions there, Zenzen is able to step to safety.
Yeah, you know, because he doesn't have that aggro there, he kind of just wallows away, walks away, not really too phased there, but it does allow a little bit of time for Evolve to try to get that wave in. Utility Monster now looking to go back towards mid. You can see Jeff just looking to prepare, does end up landing the hook now with the knock up there. Broccoli looking to do some damage. Ignite on him, out, does flash out. Meanwhile, mid, here comes Josie, going to be ultimating in, standing united with this threat of the mid lane. Is Delta now going to be getting low. Shaco's going to try to run away. There's the flash. Josie's able to take the first blood for Team Rex.
Securing first blood, doesn't even need Ignite, just commits that flash, and that's going to be easy dragon conversion from Rex. They're even taking the crab. There's no urgency at all. They're confident that this is not going to get contested, and they are right. Looks like INT is just going to limp away, secure their waves, and that's an early tempo lead there for Rex, and we'll see what they can do with this.
Yeah, and I think one of the core things that we've seen different this game with Joshi is the fact that he took that teleport to really, you know, kind of sacrifice some of the early game damage into the lane phase, but you get more utility. The dude doesn't even need to use it. He goes towards mid, walks back in time, but now we're looking back. Delta looking to get a little bit of bittersweet revenge. Better served cold. Zenzen is able to just dash on out. Press the attack is on Delta. We're going to see him use the blaster cone. Looks like he's going to get out okay.
No way. Zenzen somehow lives. Very creative escape there with the hook shot. I would not have thought to go forward like that to force out the Azir flash defensively. But Zenzen finds that angle, walks out of there without using any summoner spells, and is very happy with that trade.
Yeah, man, Zenzen just tiptoeing in his Jordans there with the mid lane, always barely escaping death, but it seems like it just doesn't phase him here. Every time, Civ, we see some of the Shaco plays of the mid lane. Shaco's not level 6 yet. Zenzen just gets to just walk out every time.
Yeah, I like the idea of trying this new Shaco pick to throw a wrench into the game plan, but really hasn't paid off so far. Down 20 farm on the Morgana, who's happy just full clear over and over again. And sure, Shaco might come online at one item, but your boxes are going to be way less threatening when Black Shield exists on the enemy team.
Yeah, definitely so. We now see the rinse and repeat strat. He is able to dash out for now, but the ultimate's able to keep him alive. He does survive near that mid lane turret. You got to keep in mind, ulti is no longer, but it does make way. Shaco is now on the Rift Herald. Utility looking to do something. He is in a bit of a bad spot here. The whole squadron is now looking to put a wrench into his armor there, but Utility does get taken out. And that right there is the first kill. Back on over to INT.
That is a huge kill for INT. Not only do they get the kill, they guarantee this Rift Herald secure. They're going to aim to crash for plates, and look, even Mr. Chunks and Alk Battery rotating up to mid, thinking there's a play, and they're just going to sacrifice a wave and give Broccoli a back timer. So overall, just a huge momentum swing all over the map. Rex believing that they can challenge, they can punish, but they are just not in position. They don't have the vision control.
Okay,
Joshi in some big trouble.
Ignite is still on Joshi. Delta's looking to try to swing around. Fish going to be going to the turret now, able to get the kill, and he still does survive with a little bit of plating gold as the cherry on the top of the cake.
This is a massive kill because it may even result in the tower conversion. Oh,
All right.
Narrowly misses. But Zenzen's here looking for blood.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Zenzen is able to clean up the kill, man. Look, despite Mr. Chunk sending that Mega Death Rocket over the Helios League Season 17, we still have the kill being secured there, and the board is still absolutely tied in terms of gold here.
Yeah, you know, you think Shen is going to use his global spot lane, but no, it's both AD carries roaming top with the Inferno Death Rocket.
It's the tech.
You know, gotta pay Shen back a little bit for all that he's done for you. So Zenzen does get that kill back. And oh, I love this from Joshi, moving mid to pick up the wave, knowing that Zenzen's fixed top. You make sure you don't skip out on this wave, and they can just shuffle back when Zenzen's back on the map. Great foresight to make sure you don't lose out on that golden experience for nothing.
Absolutely right, and we also have to worry about the Dragon. It is coming up in a minute and a half. We want to see Team Rex really keep that pressure. They were able to get Dragon 1. Ocean Drake early going to allow them to stay in lane a little bit longer and make sure they're nice and healthy to play for that Dragon number 2 there in the Inferno. They definitely want that extra damage, especially, look, when you have that double 80 carry comp really relying around you, you want to deal as much damage as you can.
Yeah, they need that damage. It's going to be really important for this next fight, especially with Dragon spawning in 1 minute. We're going to have to really watch the item spikes here. We're getting really close to Mythic completion, and this is where gold leads matter a lot. Having just 500 more gold for a longsword doesn't really matter. But if that 500 gold is the difference between second item completion and components, that is a huge deal breaker for team fights at Dragon.
Oh, it absolutely is. Another deal breaker for a team fight is being at a 1v2. Fish McGish now looking to try to escape here, but the flash is on cooldown, and there it is. Ulti gonna be blocked by that tier 1 turret. Excellent dodging by Fish.
Yeah, Fish finds cover behind the tower, ducks down, and makes it out with the skin of his teeth. And Shaco here looking to get some vision control. Both teams have their eye on Dragon. It looks like Teleport getting committed already from Evolved Noob. So INT is very committed to challenging this one.
Oh, definitely so, man. And I definitely forgot to bring up that Fish McGish has the new exclamation point slash duck, drop, and roll. He's not going to be here for the fight now. The utility's able to flash away. Joshi's here now, looking to get some damage out, but it is the wrong clone. Delta's now in a bit of a bad spot, taking a lot of damage here, but it's Joshi now going to be going forward. Chunks able to take out Noob. Delta's now going to be on the run. Dragon going to be coming up now. And guess who's there? Team Rex.
Wow, I thought INT for sure had that one, especially when they commit Evolved Noob's TP, but it looks like Garen does not have teleport of his own. It ends up being a man disadvantage fight.
Oh man, unfortunately Delta wasn't able to get that smite steal. It literally was at 1 HP. I'm pretty darn sure it was a close one, but Delta's able to get out okay. They did get a tower, but they traded for a dragon.
Yeah, overall, I think Rex is super happy with this one. Sure, INT has this small gold lead, but I don't think it's enough to snowball the game, especially with the threat of Earth Soul coming up in just 2 dragons.
Absolutely. We now have Mr. Chunks getting a bit of a CS lead over Brock Lee here. And again, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Alk and Chunks are able to really end up doing here in this bottom lane matchup. They are going to get some more gold here with the plates. But again, we know how strong this Misfortune build is when you really build into the Eclipse. You take up a little bit more lethality and you end up dishing out a ton of damage. And we've seen what it could do in a good team fight now as Jeff was looking to try to find a hook. Alk and Chunks going to be all right.
Oh, yeah, it's... Jeff with the flash. Great silence.
Okay. Hook not able to land. Delta can't quite find the engage.
Oh, I can't... They actually limp away from that one. That's unbelievable. I thought for sure with the flash silence, that combo into CC chain, but they're not quite able to reach Mr. Chunks and Alk Battery. They're just spacing out perfectly. I like the idea behind Jeff flashing forward with the silence, but they're just not able to convert with this Blitzcrank yet.
Yeah, they just can't quite connect on some of those engages that they're looking for here. Meanwhile, again, we are going to see some of that PvP action in the top lane. But again, Joshi taking that TP, not really having to hardcore win lane, able to provide utility later on. And when we look at Mr. Chunks and Zenzen, they both got a kill. We now have the first item about to be built from Mr. Chunks on this reset. And Zenzen sitting pretty there with a little bit of MR to make sure he's okay from that Azir.
Oh, here we go. Fish in some trouble here. Utility Monster finds the ultimate, starts walking him down, and I think that's going to be CC chain. Fish trying his hardest to escape, but he trades it back.
Delta so maybe there, man. Delta's now here. They're looking to, they're just gonna back off there. But a 1-for-1 is not that bad when it's a 2v1 in top.
I was just about to comment on the lull state, and no, we're just going to fight to death over here in the side lanes. Here we go. Then it's finding another one.
Brock Lee just instantly going to get annihilated there with a double kill. Over to Zenzen again. You know what? A lot of fights going on right now as Utility Monster in a bit of a bad spot at the top lane, and Evolved going to take him down. You know, it is a 2-for-1 across the map, but at least they were able to get some back, and here's the replay.
Yeah, Utility Monster just way too far forward, gets found by the 3. Overall, I think this still favors Rex because they will trade it on the other side of the map. There's a tower waiting for them, and not one in the top lane for INT to take, but don't think Utility Monster had to be quite up that far. I didn't quite see in time, but I believe he had time to leave.
And again, we now have the Rift Herald number 2 taken. It looks like a bit of a swap in terms of pressure from the top side and bottom side objectives. Okay, Fish, look at their 1v3. Joshi ultimate and says you're not that guy, buddy. And Fish gonna get taken down now, but a hook from Jeff, able to allow him to escape. Joshi's gonna walk away now with the tier 2 to the bottom lane on its last limbs.
Yeah, a bit of an overreach from Fish. Underestimating the power of the Janna keep away does get kited out. If Garen got to hit there. It was definitely a kill, but Alk Battery is not going to let FishFish touch its friends without commensurable return damage, and they find commensurable damage indeed.
Right, and one of the really good powerhouse attributes of picking a Misfortune lane is you typically have pretty good wave clear in your auto attack passive, plus your double up here, but the problem was they didn't really have the pressure throughout this game, and as our spectator beautifully showed us the vision control for the side of Team INT, their entire bottom side was black. They could not see a thing, so we're gonna have to see a little bit of bite back here from INT to try to get some of the vision control in their own jungle.
Yeah, both these teams really need eyes on this dragon spawning in 50 seconds. This is a huge turnaround point because I think if Rex wins this, they're going to cement their position. Hold the thought.
All right. Misfortune's going to ultimate now, but it's not going to really land too many bullets. Zen now going to be on the run as utility monster. Going to land the Dark Binding here out of the Azir to the mid lane, but he's able to escape. Rocket does end up getting blocked. At least it hit a target this time, though.
Wow, really great keep away play from Rex. They're just not letting INT find the engage that they want. INT keeping mid control here, and they have the wave pushing in top, but they just can't get control of the river. Oh, X Delta narrowly escapes. Oh, and Rex is just going to walk back in the mid. They're going to clear the next wave. They're going to keep pressuring. INT is just getting starved out of the game here. It's the death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, you know, we can talk about how we have 2.5 subs on the side of Rex for Gallus, but if I didn't know so myself, I would have thought these dudes have been playing together for a very long time. Even Elk, man, the dude feels so absolutely comfortable in the support role, being able to keep both those primary targets alive as the dragon is taken down. They're now going to be at Soul Point, and Zen and Mr. Chunks are virtually untouchable.
Yeah, and here's Utility Monster looking for another one. Not done yet. Oh, Broccoli has the fast feet and gets out of there alive. Appreciate that B emote. Yeah, I think
now, yeah.
There's a bit of danger here for INT. Rex is on that soul point, so I feel like a little bit of broken record, but INT needs to make something happen. If the game just kind of stalls out, that's always going to be in favor of Rex. They're happy scaling their double AD carry, double enchanter. They're happy just waiting, and they're only going to get stronger. Whereas INT, it's not necessarily that their comp scales badly, but they're a comp that has to fight. They have no way to get ahead other than fighting, so that's all they can do. And once they're behind and stop winning fights, they have no real comeback mechanism to get into the game.
Right, and look, we can easily see a bit of potential to Evolve New being able to really get to that back line, bust out the ultimate, and really try to throw Zen and Chunks into the middle of the fight. Being that you have a Morgana and a Janna, it makes it super difficult to penetrate the front line and get to the carries. We're going to need to see something very interesting here from Evolve now as they're looking to get a bit of a push on their own. Rift Herald's still alive. Zen is lurking. Shelly's able to hit the tier 2 turret. Team INT backs off.
Yeah, INT's happy with that tower kill, but it may not be enough because in the meantime, Joshi has just been shoving wave after wave bottom lane, happy to rotate up now, and INT is just always on the back foot. They're looking to fight, they're looking to create that 5v5, but Rex is just so great at declining. They just say, no, we're going to push the side lanes, we're not going to interact with you. You can try to siege, but we're just not going to let you fight, and that's preventing INT from getting that crazy snowball that they need in order to equalize.
Definitely so. The team fight is just so precise here. Broccoli almost dying just for the QW combo. There's the rocket, and Broccoli, man, gets sniped across the mid lane.
That is absolutely brutal. Broccoli just can't even play the game. Isn't allowed to wave clear in mid. And it's not like he even got dived. He got killed off screen by one Morgana bind into Mega Inferno Rocket. So, man, that is tough. You know, Misfortune is really good when they have to run into you. Less exciting when they poke you out outside of the range of your ultimate.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if our producer is just that clean or not, but I could have sworn the screen went slow motion as Mr. Chunks pulled the rocket off, looking like he was holding that controllable rocket from the old 007 games, man. It was just way too clean. We've seen those ultimates coming out throughout the entirety of the game here. Mr. Chunks is not afraid to try to get some damage out on the ultis, and every time, besides the first one, it is landing damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the ways INT get back to this game, because whatever they're doing right now isn't really working for them. They are only down 2k gold, so that is fair. But with their composition, they need to be further ahead to be even, because they need to create a situation where Rex is forced to face check them, and then they can get the full value of Misfortunal. And so far, that's not going to happen. I think one of the few ways they can make that happen, though, is through the split push pressure. So I'm really happy to see Fish trying to bully Joshi in the side lane. Maybe he can commit for tower pressure here.
Right. And definitely one of the upsides that Joshi does have is he is still able to kind of control some of the push potential to the side lanes and have that teleport and have the Stand United, whereas Fish does not have TP, nor does he have a global ultimate, so he can lose some of the pressure in that sense. So I think it does benefit Joshi from staying there in that lane. Although it is a lot of pressure from Fish, Joshi should still be able to rotate to some of the fights quickly. Fish in the enemy jungle. Utility Monster coming in here. Can't quite 1v1 a Garen.
Fish speed racers away. Is perfectly fine. Scot-free. One thing that does surprise me a little bit is taking a look at itemization. Fish has chosen to complete the entire Mortal Reminder. Hold that thought, Utility Monster.
Man, Utility just so quick to pull the trigger. Now as one is ready to be going down. Jeff is now in a bit of a bad spot of the tier 1 of the mid lane turret, and Zenzen's able to pick up another one. Utility Monster saying, I'll show you what utility is. Here's a flash, here's an ulti, and here's 2 bodies.
Yeah, you'll have to drive his joy from the corpses of his foes, and it looks like Rex just getting full vision control of the dragon. 20 seconds up, and I don't think INT is going to be in position. They will barely respawn as the dragon comes up, but they're just not here to contest, and they can't walk in 3v5. This may just be Earth Soul for Rex.
I don't know, Sim. Delta's looking okay. All right. It's not going to matter what. I mean, Delta's lurking here, looking to make something funky happen to the Dragon Pit. But the problem was, man, Evolved Noob just got annihilated. And now we have Delta looking to go for the steal, but it's not going to be successful. Dragon number 4, and the soul is being claimed by Rex. Delta's now going to be on the run as he walks away. Joshi looking to try to get the Shadow Dash now, but the taunt can't quite connect. Delta still going to be running out, man. This is the sneakiest little jester the Rift has ever seen, and he is able to survive, but he still loses the dragon.
Really cool steal attempt by X-Delta. Uses his ult in a really creative way, ulting early and then walking the clone in so that he can get the surprise stealth over the wall. It was a great idea, but unfortunately just a little too slow. The DPS from Jinx too high, and Rex is able to burn the dragon before Delta is ready and has vision. So that is going to be Earthsoul going over to Rex. I think this is INT's window starting to close on this game. They need to make a miracle teamfight happen soon, or I think their game is going to fall out of reach.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that potential in some of the team fights really does rely on Evolved Noob. Sure, he's 2-2. He's building a second item now, but he is able to bring that utility to his team in the ultimate to try to really divide the enemy back line, and that's what he needs to do. It's really difficult to do that through Utility Monster with the black shields, but I think that's the option we need to see from INT. You're going to be walking here, watching Utility Monster. A beautiful land on the grab. Utility's now going to instantly have to pop the stop block, but the souls are still going to be shackled there. It's going to be 1-for-1. Zenzen's able to try to flash away now, but he has to run back to his team. Is Alk now going to help out? There's the Monsoon. Jeffas is now going to be on the run. Is out looking for a little bit more here, but there's the taunt. Joshi going to be coming forward now. It's Fish looking to try to go to the fight now. Silence on the
Mr. Chunks
carry. Ulti's able to take him down. Mr. Chunks will fall. Fish McGish now going to be forced to walk away, but Broccoli's still going to be alive and well. That's going to be a winning fight over to INT, and they are still looking. But it looks like we will have Rex able to recall safely.
Rex may be recalling, but I think this could be INT's chance to start Baron. They're hesitant to start her right now, and understandably so, but they need to make something happen. I want to see them start Baron now, but it looks like they don't know that Rex is reset, and they're just going to back off and secure their waves.
Yeah, we are going to see a bit of a period where we wait for this Baron if any team can establish control. Remember, we still got 3.5 minutes on to Elder. Do have Delta now. Looking to try to shove out these waves. They want to keep them shoved out. They don't want to allow Team Rex to try to get vision freely.
Yeah, they're going to fight tooth and nail for this. And this is their tournament life on the line. Everything could end here. If they win, they can have another lease on life. one more try to turn around this series and look for the reverse sweep. I really wish they had tried to start that Baron. I think if they committed a Zero TP, they could burn it down, but now they're in this awkward position. They really don't want to face check and try to run into the Janna that's just playing right into the Rex win condition, but it may have to happen right here. Starting to burn down, it's getting close. 4K.
Okay, here we are. A lot of damage now coming out with a beautiful bullet times, able to shred a lot of the front line of the enemy.
To the shadows, where the scoundrels hide.
I can hear you now.
I might be there. Are we back or?
Are we back? We're back. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Rex sieging in the mid tower. Huge Azir play, looking for the shuffle, finds Joshi. Mr. Chunks hitting from the back line, and they do find the kill. Double reset, and they are going to clean up, find the mid tower. Oh, no, it's going to be next wave, but they may just back out to Baron right here.
Yeah, so despite all, you know what happened here? Chris Edgeworth is such a top-tier producer. He was like, oh man, there's so much bloodshed about to happen right now. We gotta turn off this stream and allow the casters to recollect. And recollect we do see happening from Team Rex. They're able to win the team fight, and the Baron has finally been started. And it looks like it might be taken down. Fish is not able to get there in time now, looking to try to run out of the fight. Chunks is able to secure that Baron for them. It looks like Baron and Soul are taken for Team Rex.
Yeah, I had to cut out some of that R-rated content. This is a PG-13 stream, so we're back. The gore's over. You can tell your kids to open their eyes. And Rex is going to have a commanding position. They've extended their goalie to 5K, and I think this is just turning into an uphill battle for INT, especially because they doubled down and bought double completed healing reduction items. Sitting on the component is a fine choice, but I'm not sure what healing they're trying to start with completing both grievous wounds on Garen and Azir. I mean, no one has shield bow. There's no lifesteal items. Janna doesn't heal that much. It's mostly shielding, so I'm just a little surprised by this, and maybe you can afford to do that if you're ahead, but if you are behind gold, you can't afford to spend 3,000 on Morel Nomicon and Mortal Reminder.
I don't know, Civ, man. It's that Legend Bloodline tech, man. It's very, very fierce on the on the right player here. Is I think the angle that they're going for, man. Okay. You have Fish looking at 1v2. Maybe 1v... Okay, it is 1v5. Fish is going to be able to take a lot of damage now, but the rest of the team is looking to try to help out now as Evolve Move looking to try to go to the fight. Utility with a beautiful ulti, but an even better one over from the side of Brock. Is going to be a nice shutdown as Zen is taken out of the fight. Utility Monster, beyond all odds, is able to still survive.
Utility Monster!
He's still on there. This dude will not die, man. What in the world here, Civ?
Gets bailed out like Wall Street and is just gonna cruise over to Eldragon, smite this one. I can't believe Utility Monster lives. Gets everything from his team. Joshi's ultimate, Alk Battery gets the shield, and it just no problem. Wasn't worried. Oh man, that's so unfortunate for INT. But I think with this, Rex just needs one more good push to break open the base, and that might be it for INT.
Yeah, we're going to need to see them really at least stall out for the time being for that Elder Drake. You do not want to start a 5v5 when your enemy has literally every single buff in the game that they need. So they're going to have to try to stall it out here, but Rex is so far ahead. If they want to apply pressure, they definitely can now. Is Jeff going to be walking forward? Oh, the last thing you want to do is face check when it is this deep into the game now, and Jeff going to get taken down. Josie's able to utilize that Elder Dragon to take one out for the road. It's now going to be 5v4 here, and they're looking to break down bases.
This is the end of the line for INT. They need to make their final stand here. Broccoli still has ultimate available, so maybe there's a clutch bullet time. Fish looking on the flank, but it's so hard to fight through the Elder Dragon.
Okay, he is going to be flashing forward now, and a lot of damage is going to be out, but not enough. Mr. Chunks now going to be walking forward like a frontline 80 carry. The dude doesn't care. Utility Monster's able to pick up the spree. Not one, not two, three. End up going down from INT as they're on their last legs. Evolve Noob looking to try to stay alive, but he can't quite do it. And Broccoli now going to be falling as well. Mr. Chunks going forward. Auto attacking for days, looking like he has every gun in his arsenal ever made, and it's Team Rex now taking out game number 3 and working their way to next week's finals.
Rex closing out a clean 3-0. I'm a little disappointed as that will be the last cast for Shneki and I are hoping for a couple more games, but Rex proving that they are prepared, they were clean, and even with a few roster adjustments, were able to showcase that signature Rex macro gameplay. I think one thing that was really cool about this double AD carry comp is that it's not just a double AD carry comp, it is also a reset comp, because they have Jinx reset and Akshan reset. So it meant that if INT just barely lost a fight, everything fell apart, and unfortunately INT wasn't able to get into that beatdown position where they could engage over and over again. They kept getting kited out, and Rex is able to cinch this one out.
Definitely so. And, you know, this was a bit of the salty run-back story here, where we even heard Bo in some of those pre-game audios that we did have here saying, look, we beat you guys last time. We had 2 fills. You guys had 2 fills. But last time, they didn't have Bo as one of the fills. Now, we've heard from Joshi how much they believe that the power lies in INT's jungle, and Bo was not there. And it looks like it was a little bit too much pressure for them to handle. And you're probably a bit excited here, Civ. I know you're one of the advocates of the potential ultimate grand finals of potentially, I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, potentially a Team Yubi versus Team Rex grand finals. I'm just saying.
Yeah, as I announced in Twitch chat, that'd be a pretty tough matchup for Yubi, so I think we're going to put in our sub top laner, Yubi Joshi, if that happens. I think his champion pool matches really well into Rex, so we'll definitely look to run that roster lineup if that happens.
Yeah, definitely so. And remember, we still do have next week for that game to take place to get Team Rex to that point, and for you guys as well. On that note, I do believe that is going to conclude our broadcast today. We may or may not have an interview for the winning team. We're going to find out shortly. And we do have an interview, in fact, from Team Rex. On that note, guys, it has been a pleasure being your play-by-play caster for the entire 30 minutes I've been here tonight. And Civ, it was a pleasure casting with you as well. And on that note, guys, we are going to hand it over to the winning team's interview. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Don't go anywhere.
Weakest player on INT is probably got to be Evolve Noob. It's a situation where he's not necessarily going to create a lot of pressure, and we've even saw in the win they were able to pick up against us, Evolve Noob was gone, and they brought in Broccoli to play in the mid lane, and he showed a lot of adaptability there. But Evolve Noob doesn't create a lot of pressure. He's not necessarily going to be pushing around a lot of players, and against really heavy, aggressive mid laners like I'm soloing, Evolve Noob can kind of crumble. Against really controlled mid laners like Zenzen, it's going to be a situation where Zenzen can freely scale into the late game, and he's always going to be a bigger team fighter than you. The 2 strongest players on INT are one, Bull Explode. He was actually my vote for the entire season MVP because of how crucial he was to his team's ability to actually play throughout the entire season. That said, the other person that I'm really kind of afraid of is X Delta. If he's going to be playing, it's going to be difficult to get a read on what he's going to be doing for the team, but I'm also told he's one of the major voices whenever they're actually able to bring it out. And if they can combine the individual skill and the chaos that INT brings with another layer of control, it's going to be important to see if I can actually outshot call it.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here for our winners interview tonight, and I'm joined by the victorious Rex Regalis, Alk Battery, and Joshi. How you feeling, boys, after the win?
Feeling pretty good. We were a little, or at least I was a little nervous going into this whole series, because I've heard great things about Delta and Fish, and I've played against Fish at least once, and I feel like they're actually in some ways stronger with these substitutes. So I was kind of unsure of how this series was going to go, and ultimately, while Fish was able to win the lane a lot of the time, he wasn't necessarily able to translate to the rest of the map. So I felt pretty good about that.
I will say, this is something that we've talked about before. I want to applaud anyway, INT, for still sticking with the roster that some would consider is weaker on certain players on the roster, but still sticking in with, Evolve Noob in the mid lane and, swapping out various other players. I know probably some of the Luna boys have said some remarks, but wanted to give props for kind of sticking with the friend group there.
Right on. Well, let me ask you a little bit about this series in particular, because it was the roster shakeup, as you talked about, and for you folks as well, you Elk Battery moving down into the support position, bringing in Mr. Chunks in your position, and then having Utility Monster here in the jungle position. So if you could talk to me a little bit about this prep for this series, and especially what it might be like playing with Utility Monster as the jungle presence versus having someone like Rafa in the team.
Yeah, so surprisingly, the one thing that him and Rafa both share is screw it, we're going in. Like the call is to just keep going unless Josh or maybe Andy or Chunks starts to kind of rein it in. Both of them, I think, just from playing some practice games, I felt like kind of got the same feel where we had to carry jungler in certain cases. Obviously, Utility Monster is a lot more focused on trying to maximize the jungle as much as possible. And for me specifically, playing support, it was definitely a different experience just because I think Andy is obviously a much more consistent and better marksman player than I am. And playing Enchanters, I still have a pretty important job, but it was, as Josh could probably tell you, it was a little bit of a rough road at the beginning trying to pick up support.
Yeah.
You would think I've played multiple games of bot lane, I should know this, and with Sam, or Smacks, our coach, I should know how to play support, but it was rough. It was a little rough.
Yeah, it was interesting playing like our style, and one of my favorite quotes during that series was Utility Monster actually said, "Man, playing with Rex is so boring. You guys don't do anything." It's like, well, yeah, we just choke the life out of the other teams, and it makes it really hard for them to come back. But that's not the way UB plays, right? UB plays really aggressive through their bottom lane, and we are much more expected value kind of players. But the other thing was, it was so hard to prep like drafts and stuff for INT because we know that they have so many players who are like swapping roles around who aren't necessarily in their main roles, and so we don't have a lot of tape on what they're playing, but also they just kind of play everything, right? It's really hard to figure out what Delta was going to play. It was really hard to figure out what Brock Lee and Jeff were going to play during this series, and so that's kind of why we ended up banning all three of our first round bans. We're up against the top laner Fish, and he even asked in the last game, like, "Hey, if we win this one, can I play Set afterwards?" And I just gave him a no smiley face.
Let's talk a little bit about the specifically for you, Joshi, the Shen angle that was pervasive throughout this entire series, every game back and forth between you two. What are your thoughts on this champion's presence, and do you think it should have been taken out of the pool?
Well, everything that I win on must have been bannable, right? You have to ban everything that I've ever played. So you got the Shen, Gnar, Ornn, and wait, yeah, that's only 3 champions. Anyway, but the thing is, Shen is really good at our level of play and really good in solo queue right now, just because he's got a lot of good to winning lane matchups. And I think it's the kind of thing where if you aren't willing to first pick it, it's probably a better ban against us than a lot of the enchanters that they were going for, because Shen does something different, whereas if you ban Janna Yumi, we still have other picks that we can go do that do basically the same thing, whereas there's nothing else that does what Shen does.
I will also say we have lost with Shen top lane. There is definitely ways to beat it. So I don't want to say that Shen is like, the cause, but definitely a symptom of how we tend to win games.
Especially in this last game, you had two places basically that you could, even three really, if utility monsters out in front that were just really excellent targets and worthy of the Shen ult. And even in the last game, you actually brought the teleport for the, I appreciate that in the third game to make sure that you actually have all extra map presence so that you can get that 3-0. So tip of the hat after seeing the ignite in the early game. Let's talk a little bit for you, Alk Battery, about the Enchanter pool that we touched on here. You pulled out 2 games of the Janna in the last game. No deaths, but we saw a little bit of the INT Battery earlier on in this series. What were your thoughts on some of these matchups in the bottom lane, especially with the trading off of the MF as well?
Yeah, so I will just say I was kind of worried about what they were going to do bot lane, and I think in the series, Mr. Chunks specifically had a really strong grasp as to how we were going to handle them. I don't think I was super threatened in a lot of games, and game 1, I will just admit, I am playing on a different setup than I'm normally at.
There it is.
I did have I had 400, 500 ping at certain points. There's even a pause because I had 800 ping, and it was like for a solid 15 seconds, so it was just not possible. If my dog is barking, it's because they're calling out cap on the excuses. The copium is kicking through. But yeah, it's definitely a different setup, and Enchanter is just if I think I'm much better than the opponent, I'm going to play Enchanters. Engage, I don't want to say is like a cheat code, but it can be a little bit more difficult, and there's just different strengths that you need to have as an Enchanter than an Engage.
All right, well, as a final question, let's ask a little bit about what's coming up next with the finals. Joshi, let's start with you, and then Alk Battery after. What are your thoughts on this matchup for Rexer Gallus versus RLS?
I think in general, we've played against them a fair number of times, and we have a pretty darn good winning record up against them. The biggest thing that I would say is, even in the game that they beat us, which they did beat us, I still feel like we lost more to ourselves than to them. So, I really am looking forward to playing against them, but I also feel like as long as Rex is playing even like our B game, it should probably be a 3-0.
Also, we're gonna have Rafa back. At least I hope so. And I won't be playing support. So we're gonna have all the boys on deck. We're gonna have the grand total. And just like Josh said, and I know Escape said it on the show earlier, but we're really looking forward to playing against RLS. Some really great people over there, and just like Josh said just now, we did, and I think we just ended up losing to ourselves in that first game. It was pretty early on in the season. We had never really played a lot of games together at that point, so it was a really big eye-opener for it, and again, excited to be there.
Yeah, really actually happy that they beat us in week 1, because it allowed us to kind of sit back and realize, okay, well, this is how we want this team to operate. We weren't doing that before. We got a couple mentality things that we need to work on as a team, and props to RLS for being able to punish the mistakes that we were making, but it's very clear that at least those mistakes haven't really hurt us later on in the season, and I'm very confident going into it. But again, love those guys. They're a bunch of cool people. It's going to be a good series.
Really looking forward to it. Should be awesome. So that's it for us tonight, folks. Joshi and Alk Battery, thanks so much for joining us for this interview. But before we step away, a last opportunity. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave with us on the casting desk? Any shout-outs, any banter?
Josh, you want to go first, or?
I'm pretty sure now that our combined win rates are still looking pretty darn good, but the real question is Helios Josh or Luna Josh better? And I think between the two of them, the win rates are still kind of all over the place. We'll have to double check the stats at the end of it.
Okay, well, I'm going to give out all the shout-outs. I want to thank Sam for positionally coaching me on some enchanters. Same thing to Colimer, giving me some tips on support. My girlfriend Tori for giving me a bunch of tips, aka just sitting there and playing MF and letting me run it down in bot lane. And obviously, thank you to INT for giving us a series today.
Also, shouts out to your dog.
True.
Yes, Grace was a pivotal kind of game changer in game 1, actually.
It was a dog gap.
It was.
I mean, you had the Shen. Hey, boom! It just writes itself. You had the Shen. You know, it's a dog champion. It's a dog.
Yes, that is literally Josh in every single one of our drafts. If you ever look, there's no Jace, there's no any kind of fun champions of his own
No.
volition. He puts the leash on himself. Just saying, he's a good dog.
Woof woof.
Hey, we don't kink shame here at FOF for sure. You do you, Joshi. All right. All right, man. Thanks so much for this interview, boys. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to your matchup next week. It should be fun. And of course, we'll be back on Monday with our coming up Luna matchups. So please join us 4:30 on Monday Pacific Standard Time. Hope to see you then. And everyone, have a good night.